Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon or evening, or whatever time zone you're listening to this in. Welcome to In Her Blazer podcast. My name is Jaboa Miranda, and you are going to be here with me for the next little while, so get comfy. I am a keynote, for those of you who are subscribing and tuning in for the first time, I am a keynote speaker on mental toughness, so coping skills, tools to help you survive whatever you're dealing with, your traumas, insecurities, everyday struggles, to deal with anxiety and stress and a lot of other issues that many of us are experiencing throughout our lifetime. I also keynote speak on branding and digital marketing, as I was in that space and continue to be in that space for over 11 years now. I run a nonprofit called Jaboa Miranda Foundation, which is focused on helping women who've been affected by suicide to get a university education and to learn how to cope themselves. And we are here now on In Her Blazer podcast. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. And again, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. You're awesome. In Her Blazer is a place to feel safe with your community. So I am very vulnerable. And for those of you who know me and have been following along, you know vulnerability just is who I am. I like to show my scars because I decided to throw away the political BS and just be myself. And I encourage all of you to be yourself because it is so much more interesting. So it's a place to wear your blazer, not necessarily a physical blazer, but the armor, the shield that you walk around and in every day, to cover up those insecurities and those flaws that we are scared to show other people, and to really unleash that here together. So thank you for being here. And today we're going to talk about five mental health tools that I have used to ultimately save my life. And I was supposed to be a high school dropout and drug addict. And for those of you who are just learning about me for the first time, that might seem surprising. So I will get into things I've never gotten into before during this episode, because I feel like the only way to help anybody in this world is to reveal who we are as individuals, our true self, not the self that we show the world on an everyday basis. So I am not a high school dropout, nor was I ever into drugs. So I proved that statistic wrong, and it's because I implemented these 5 mental health tools that saved my life. So thank you for being here, and let's have some fun. So during my upbringing, which none of you know, is I was actually raised by a middle-class single mother, and my father had passed away when I was young. So I had to learn how to be my own mom and dad because I had 5 other siblings. I was the youngest of my siblings and the only one to actually ever put myself and graduate from university. So that was a first for my family. And growing up in a single mother household was extremely tough, and that tough lifestyle taught me how to be a fighter. It taught me what the heck a coping skill was and the importance of coping skills to make sure I got the life I deserved. And you can get the life you deserve too. We all can. So as I was growing up, I always played sports, and I always had a natural curiosity for the world and education. I fell in love with education early. And I was very lucky to fall in love with education, because education was something that also was a contributor to me saving my own life. And I received validation in the form of an A. So when I was in school and I would be doing reports or exams, getting an A felt so incredibly unreal and like nothing I had ever felt before. And that is what really kicked off my love of education, is knowing that I received some kind of positive validation. And as I was going through school, I would try harder because I looked up to a couple of my siblings. And when I for those of you who also do not know, I lost 2 of my brothers to suicide when I was 16 and 17 years old. And one of my brothers, Isaac, he was my hero. So he was my hero because he was that guy who was hilarious. And I was never funny, right? Like I was never funny, and I always wanted to be. I was like dreaming to be funny, and it just like wasn't in the cards for me. So I looked up to him because I was like, man, it must be nice to be funny. And he was tall and fit, and he skipped a grade in elementary. And I didn't even know like a 7-year-old could skip a grade. I thought if we're all building blocks, we're building blocks the same way, but apparently not. He was like an Einstein. So I was super secretly jealous of that. And I tried to convince my teachers to allow me to skip grades because I thought I was super savvy like that. And it failed. I failed. They did not allow me to skip grades, and I was very mad about this. So I tried even harder because I wanted to be like him, and I wanted to be smart like him. And for some reason, I looked up to my siblings and their intelligence because I thought that was so beautiful and powerful. And so when I didn't get to skip grades, I just kept in my little angst, and I just tried harder. So when I was in grade 6, I was actually doing grade 8 math. So they put me in advanced math and advanced classes, and that's where it just fostered my love of education even more. So as I went on my way, life got tough, and I tried a little bit harder, and because I fell in love with sports as well, I think sports taught me the power of connection and the power of vulnerability and showing ourselves to others, and support and love and companionship with other people. And because I liked getting validation for being good at something, I would try harder in my sports. And I played everything. I played basketball, soccer, volleyball, ran track, and it felt incredible when I was chosen to be captain. So I just tried harder all the time. And then in my teen years, as I was going about my business, my life changed in a flash. And when I was 16 years old, I woke up one day and I was told that my brother Ricardo took his life. And instantly, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a really cruel joke, something that you would say to somebody just because you're having a bad day, which sounds kind of messed up, but that's what I thought. And then I realized it wasn't a joke. This is my life now. So that's when I started to learn that nobody talks about suicide. I didn't know anybody else who had talked about that. And I felt alone, and I suffered a lot in silence because I just had nobody to look up to. And my entire life, I just prayed for and I'm not religious, but I prayed my entire life for somebody to show up who looked like me, who was that symbol of success in my eyes, who also went through hell. Somebody who just showed their scars, and that woman never showed up. So I eventually decided to become her. And that's why I've dedicated my life to talking about my experiences and helping people where I can, because I believe my purpose here is to show up for everybody else who was waiting for that person who never came. So as I went on, I started to volunteer with the Need Crisis Line because I thought maybe I could just save someone else's life from making this horrible, horrible mistake, is how I deemed it. And so I wanted to do interventions, and I learned about that and received amazing training for a 16-year-old on how to save somebody's life. It was incredible. And then as I was going along, I thought, you know what, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And one of the coping skills I held on to, my first one of the 5, is I always held on to hope. Because I believed that no matter what I was going through, no matter how hard shit may be, and how much I felt like I was drowning every single day that I woke up, I believed I was going to have a better life because I deserved it. So I never for 1 second allowed myself to think, maybe I won't. Never. Every single day I got up thinking, there has to be something better than this. And if I just work my ass off, I'm going to get it. So I never let go of hope. And I encourage you all to hold on to hope, because right now with COVID-19, so many people, for such understandable reasons, are terrified, and anxiety levels are going up, and depression rates are going up. Domestic violence and child abuse and suicide rates are going up. And it's scary. It's scary as hell. But I urge you to hold on to hope, because you will get through this. You will survive, and you will come out on top, and you will come out stronger than ever before. So as I went along, thinking my life was starting to even out, I somehow got managed to get a grip on my own life after this horrible nightmare. When I was 17 years old, my brother Isaac committed suicide as well. So that one knocked me on my ass, because he was my hero that I had looked up to my entire life and wanted to be, and now I was just angry. And I struggled for many years with that anger, not knowing how to stop being angry. I thought it was like a switch you can just turn off if you just try really, really hard. And what I learned after years of studying on my own and in university, I studied psychology alongside business. What I learned was anger is a secondary emotion to hurt. And you have to heal. You have to heal that pain for the anger to go away. And you only heal by feeling, by allowing yourself to feel that sadness, that frustration, whatever it is. You have to allow yourself to feel it in order to heal it. And that is what I chose to do. And as I was going along, I was just very angry. But I held on to that. I held on to my love of education and my love of athletics. And I went on to finish high school early on honor roll, put myself through university, winning scholarships on average of $13,000 a year. And I got myself jobs at RBC, the CRA, General Electric, in marketing, which was always my dream, and other companies like Newell Brands, without one single network. I had nobody in my network, no one. And I was able to get these highly competitive jobs on my own because I always held on to hope and self-belief. And I decided I was never going to give up on myself. And I encourage all of you to never give up on yourself. You need to be your own best friend. You need to show yourself unconditional love, and you need to show yourself unconditional acceptance. And what that means is, you know, those really ugly parts of ourselves that we feel like we have to hide from the world? We all have them. Those parts that we're like, oh God, no one should ever see this. Yeah, those parts, you have to love those parts more than anything else. Because when you love those parts, other people, the right people, will love those parts too. And flaws are beautiful, and you will start to see that they are beautiful because they are real. So as I went on, I started to become an unofficial happiness researcher is what I call it. Because what I did, like a super nerd, is as I went through university full-time, working 30 hours a week and volunteering, I also decided in my spare time, while I was in between working out and cooking, that I would research happiness and how to be happier. And I would try everything, and I would try every coping skill in the book over and over, seeing what worked with my lifestyle, what was realistic, and what would change my mood. And some things I did was when I felt really sad, I would go for a walk and I would force myself to smile. Because there is research on smiling that says if you do maintain a smile as you walk around, it will slightly lift your mood. And for me, I did feel a slight boost. It wasn't night and day benefit, but I did feel a slight boost in my mood when I held a smile as I walked around. So I would start to do things like that because I refused to be unhappy. I knew if I walked around angry and if I walked around hating the world and saying I hate people, I robbed myself. I didn't hurt other people. It might have been for a split second if I was rude or dismissive, but I didn't hurt anybody but myself. When you walk around angry, hating the world, you suffer, nobody else. You rob yourself of that joy. And for me, I decided I deserved better than that. So I always held on to hope. And the other coping skill, the other tool that I learned quite quickly had a dramatic effect on my health, my mental health and well-being. And by the way, we all have mental health. I just want to clear that up. A lot of people think mental health is something for certain people. We all have mental health. Just like we all have physical health, we all have mental health. And our mental health can either be healthy and thriving, or it can be unhealthy. So the tool I held on to and I just continue to practice regularly is the coping skill of gratitude. Gratitude has a massive effect on our moods and our mental well-being. And I encourage all of you to practice gratitude because we all have things to be grateful for. Yes, we can feel like we're in hell. We're drowning every single day that we get up and we don't know if we're going to make it. You will make it. You absolutely will make it. And you just have to believe you'll make it. And gratitude helps us to continue making it because we all have great things to be grateful for. I have traveled to many different countries around the world. I've seen slums. I've seen ghettos that you would never even imagine exist. And they're horrific. So we all have things to be grateful for. A safe home to live in is massive in a nice area, to have food in our fridge, to have friends that we can call to crying. You know how much of a blessing that is? We all have things to be grateful for. So what I do is when I'm feeling down or just like I want a little mood boost, I'll spend 15 minutes putting pen to paper because I'm old school and I maintain my agenda and I always will. And I will write out things that I am grateful for, things that I truly believe are a privilege. And I believe living in a safe home is a privilege. I believe having healthy food in my fridge is a privilege. I believe having friends who unconditionally love and accept me is a privilege. So I write down all the things that I consider to be privileges, and it changes my mood. And I encourage you to try it for at least 15 minutes. The third tool I practice, I also implement exercise into my daily routine. And your mental health, physical health, and spiritual health are all connected. You cannot be at the top of your game if you're just focused on one. They're all interconnected. And I've learned this early on in my teenage years, because when I was at my worst point, my lowest point, when I was suffering, having lost my brothers, I would make myself work out. I'd be holding back the tears while I go for a run. I'd be holding back the tears while I'm weight training, thinking, please God, tell me this pain ends. And it does. So I continue to turn to exercise to relieve that stress, to relieve that pressure, to give me an endorphin boost, and to show my body self-respect and love, because exercise does that. So I am human. I fluctuate. I am not gifted in terms of weight, and that is why I maintain a low-carb lifestyle for the most part. Some days I might have pizza, some days I might not. But whatever it is, I accept that about myself, and I encourage you to accept yourselves as you are today and to incorporate exercise. Right now with COVID, I understand it's scary and it's hard, and a lot of people feel like they maybe shouldn't go outside for a walk or a run. And if you don't, try doing something indoors. Try streaming something on YouTube or doing an Instagram live workout. There's tons of those now. And just doing it in your living room, whatever it is. So for me, I love doing impromptu dance parties. So I love dancing. Dancing allows me to lose myself in a moment of pure joy, just like singing does. And I grew up singing as well as dancing, and unofficially. I think I'm a pro, but I'll leave that to everyone else to decide. So I encourage you to do something that brings you joy from the inside of your home. You can find that, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be an hour long. Start with what your best is today, because your best is good enough. And I encourage you to also think about what you're putting in your food and putting in your body in terms of food. Nutrition is so crucial for our minds. And I know it's easy for us to just turn to junk food because we're like, this situation sucks and I want it to be over. Totally get it. With you. I hear ya, sister. So I get it. But if you're going to have junk food today, try having something healthy tomorrow. Okay? There is no perfect. Nobody's going to do their best 100% of the time, running marathons, eating that perfect meal, being the best of friend every single day. Okay? We all make mistakes. We all have our good days. We all have our less than great days. And whatever your best is today, it's enough. Just remember to put healthy food in your body. So when I live low carb, and I believe it's the right way for me to live. However, I don't necessarily believe it's for everybody, and that's totally fine. So I cook with a lot of high quality meats and vegetables. I'm always thinking about anti-carcinogenic properties I can put in my foods, like turmeric and garlic cloves, different things like that, and spinach for my brain. And I take vitamins, my omega 369s, my vitamin D, my probiotic, because they are all interconnected. My mental health, my physical health, my nutrition, my spiritual health, it all goes together. And the fifth coping skill and the fifth tool that has really led to saving my life, and I say saving my life because suicide is hard for everybody who's experienced it, and now experiencing it twice from one year to the next is a freaking nightmare. And it is a trauma that most people don't necessarily know or understand. And if you don't understand it, that is incredible. I salute you, because I don't think everyone needs to understand that by any means. I am just telling you this because I want you to know I did not come from privilege. I may have worked for some of the biggest companies in the world, but I did not come from privilege. I came from a single mother, middle-class household with 5 other siblings, and had to work my ass off to get every single thing I've ever had. And that includes my mental health. I had to work incredibly hard to let go of that anger, to be healthy, so that I could get to a place of experiencing pure joy. And I have worked at it for 16 years. And honestly, I wake up smiling a lot. I do. And it sounds weird. Like if I was listening to this, I'd be like, what a weirdo. Who does that? Totally get it. Yes, I am that weirdo. I actually wake up smiling. I wake up feeling at peace. Maybe not every single day, but I do. I wake up feeling at peace. And it's because I've chosen to accept my reality and just let go. And I've never given up hope. I've never for 1 second given up hope on myself. I've chosen to never stop being grateful for what I have today, not what I want in the future today. I've never given up my exercise because I want to keep my body healthy. I've always cared about nutrition. It's gone up and down. Of course, I am a human being and I make mistakes. And the other tool I always practice is positive self-affirmations. And I encourage you to practice your positive self-affirmations now more than ever. Because a lot of us, even our best friends, are struggling. And a lot of us derive energy from the positive people around us. And right now, those positive people around us may not be so positive, and that's okay. And that's understandable given the situation that we're in. So because we aren't able to derive as much positivity from those people in our lives who used to be that source of optimism and happiness for us, we need to turn it inwards and be that for ourselves with positive self-affirmations. So that is something I practice regularly as well, because it affects your self-esteem and your confidence level. So with positive self-affirmations, you can try for 15 to 30 minutes a day, or if that's too long to you, try for 2 minutes. Give it a go. Stop. The one thing you need to do is you need to be consistent with whatever coping skill you use, and whatever tools you implement in your life. You need to be consistent to see long-term effects. You will kick ass. You will be happy. You will freaking love your life. Absolutely. You just need to be consistent and do not give up on you. Do not give up on you. So with positive self-affirmations, again, I'm super old school and I love to do pen to paper. Won't be giving that up. Sorry, Kindle. I like reading paper books. You can, so how positive self-affirmations work is, for me, I like, as I write it out, because the art of writing changes your brain a little bit than actually just saying it in your head or typing on the computer. So I write it out and I say things that I either believe today about myself or I want to believe in the future. So I'll say things like, I am so loved. I'm so smart. I'm so funny, because as you know, I mentioned that was always a goal for me. So I put that one in regularly. I am a great friend or a great sister or whatever it is to you, you just list them. Because I guarantee you this will change your mood. It'll increase your self-esteem. It'll increase your confidence, and you will start to see a benefit long term. And I even say positive self-affirmations to myself in my mind before I sleep, because I like to ingrain my positive beliefs while I'm sleeping in my subconscious. So I'll say things, each one 5 times. That's my thing. I say it 5 times in my head. I'm so smart, over and over again, whatever they are. I unconditionally love myself. I unconditionally accept myself. Whatever it is, you say it over and over again. And the funny thing about love and acceptance is, no, it's not a one-time thing. You have to constantly work on it, just like self-esteem and confidence. But if you do, you will have the life you deserve. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. Because like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I was supposed to be a statistic. Every time I told somebody about my life, the first thing they would say to me, and I kid you not, is, how the hell are you not messed up? How are you not a junkie? Like, why aren't you a dropout? I have heard this more times than I can even count. That is the response I get. And why I have never become any of those things, or even close to any of those things, is because I held on to hope, and I believed I deserved better than this. And I worked my ass off to get it. And that is why I know you can get it too. You will survive this. You will come out on top. And you will become mentally tough as hell. You got it. So the 5 tools I encourage all of you to practice today, starting today. Kick ass today, ladies. Kick ass. And gentlemen who support us, ladies, you too. Build your mental toughness. You got this. So the 5 mental health tools I encourage you to start practicing today are hope. Start believing today that this will get better, because it will. Start believing that truly. And if you don't believe it, when you say it out loud or say it in your mind and you know it's a lie, just keep telling yourself over and over again, say this will get better, because eventually you'll start to believe it and it'll no longer be a lie. So practice hope, practice your gratitude, make sure to exercise in whatever way that is. If it's random dance parties, jumping up and down in your house, whatever floats your boat, practice that today. Focus on nutrition, getting healthy foods in your body. And there is nobody in this world who's perfect and has a perfect day every day. So if today you fell off the wagon, that's fine. Get back up tomorrow and try again. And practice your positive self-affirmations, because you are good enough. You are more than good enough. And you deserve to believe that. So for everybody who's been here with me today, kick ass. You're mentally tough as hell. We will conquer together. Hell yeah, we will conquer together. And if you want to get in touch with me, again, my name is Jaboa Miranda. You can find me on my website, jaboamiranda.ca. You could add me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Jaboa Miranda. Send me an email at info@jaboamiranda.ca. And please, if you love this episode and you found it useful, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, because it'll help other people to find it too and to benefit during this crisis situation. We could all stand to have a little more love in our lives. So thank you for that. You all rock. You all kick ass. We're going to kick ass together. And as always, have an incredible day. Bye, everybody.